Americans, we love to talk about our rights and our freedom of speech, and we feel like a lot of that's being challenged, and we got to make sure we protect that, which I agree. But I think we need, if we're asking for that to be respected, we need to know what it is. So, and we can't just kind of yell what we want and think that we have freedom of speech or do whatever we want, because there's other people's rights as well. So we can't impede on those. But one little, question that I thought was pretty neat from, yes, I said neat, from Justice Kennedy, is she said, okay, I got a question for you guys. She said, can you scream fire in a movie theater?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your movie.
This episode is brought to you by Subway. What's good, everybody? It's 99 Miles Per Hour Podcast with me, your host, Percy Garner, and I'm excited for today's show. We got some things that I never thought I'd be talking about on this podcast, but we're going to be talking about the First Amendment and making sure everyone understands it. I'm not an expert, not going to be lecturing, but just want to talk about it, and hopefully we can all learn something. And then, obviously there's pressing things that everybody knows about, but I think it's been hit. Okay, no pun intended.
Nice.
It's been covered a lot. The slap heard around the world. And obviously, Deshaun Watson, I'll leave that to the Dogs podcast. But, baseball season's coming up, and I'm a former professional baseball player, so I think I should mention that. But before we get into all that, I want to remind you guys that we love doing this podcast, and it wouldn't be possible without Subway and the Fitzgerald family. So thank you for making this podcast possible. You guys are the best. We love you. And also, make sure you guys go to store.percygarner.com. Check out the merch. I know I said I'm going to be updating it. I promise I will be. I'm going to do it this week, but you guys take this week as next week. So that gives me 2 weeks technically. But I also want to remind you guys that, we have a goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers, and we need your help to do that. So if you're liking the content, if you love this podcast and enjoy coming back every week or every so weeks when we take breaks to tune into the episode, go ahead and like and subscribe. Also, I'm going to change it up a little bit, have some different type of guests that aren't from Tuscarawas County. So we might get more athletes, maybe some Guardians, maybe some professional players from other teams. We'll see, but I'm going to be extending invites to the show from people from outside Tuscarawas County. So looking forward to that. Hope you guys are as well. And if you guys aren't listening on YouTube, make sure that you are aware that it's on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the podcast platforms pretty much. So, and if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate a review and a rating. We haven't asked for that in a long time, so please do that. I think the last one that we got was from the YMCA a long time ago. So we need those as well. That'll help us, get out there. And we just want more people to see our content. So if you like the content, help us out. Now, so the First Amendment, like I said, I guess before I get into that, Josh is going to be joining us. Sorry, Josh.
That's okay, man. Hey, that's what sitting behind the camera is all about.
Yes. And he's got his Browns hat on. But
I know.
we might mention a little bit of Steelers football, Browns football thing. We'll see. But the first two things I want to touch on are the First Amendment and baseball. So I had the pleasure, and I'm sorry to all the other Dover Rotarians that I didn't share that Justice Sharon L. Kennedy was going to be in Bolivar talking about freedom of speech and the First Amendment. So I'm sorry, but I got to enjoy it. So I'll share with you guys kind of what I learned and just everything she shared. And she's very passionate. I mean, she should. She's on the Supreme Court for Ohio, and she was elected that in 2012. And I'm a nerd for computers and sports and video games. She is like a history and law nerd. And even though she's a judge, I think she would be okay with me saying that. And I think we would want our judges to be nerds about the Constitution, law, and history. So she shares some great things. And, before I get into this, I kind of want to hear, because she shared some stats about us Americans and how well we know the First Amendment, like we think we know it. And just before I ask Josh this, I want to share that there's 5 things that the First Amendment protects, and 0.1%. Now I know you guys are going to, this is like, Family Feud where they ask just random people on the street. This was a survey done, and only 0.1% of the people knew the 5 things that are protected in the First Amendment. So, and I will, tell on you, Josh, we did a little practice. So Josh had a little warm up, but what are the 5 things that are protected in the First Amendment?
I did, and I think I shocked you a little bit because I got 4 of them.
You did. I'll give you your props. You got 4.
Nice. So I right off the bat, it was obviously speech, press, religion. Then it was freedom of assembly. But I said, shoot, I can't remember the 5th one. And the thing is, I knew it.
Yeah,
but I just couldn't call
it. You
it.
came up with it. I didn't say it. I didn't tell you.
That's true. But we both sat there and were like, shoot, what is that 5th one?
And I guess I'm going to have to go to Google.
Yeah, and
you came up with it.
And so to petition the government.
Yes,
that's the 5th one.
Yes. Now that's obviously he's paraphrasing.
Yeah,
it's not worded like that, and it's not necessarily in that order. But it usually starts like I'll eventually read it, but it starts with religion and how the government can't establish a religion or force any type of or prohibit the free exercise of religion. So, but with all that being said, I just wanted to share that because Americans, we love to talk about our rights and our freedom of speech, and we feel like a lot of that's being challenged, and we got to make sure we protect that, which I agree. But I think we need, if we're asking for that to be respected, we need to know what it is. So, and we can't just kind of yell what we want and think that we have freedom of speech or do whatever we want, because there's other people's rights as well. So we can't impede on those. But one little, question that I thought was pretty neat from, yes, I said neat, from Justice Kennedy is she said, okay, I got a question for you guys. She said, can you scream fire in a movie theater? Now, I want you to think about this. Most people just think you can, but it's situational. And this is where the whole reason I'm bringing this up is it's about their situations. And there's 4 questions about, your freedom of speech or press or any of that. There's 4 things about that. It's not just 100% of the time you can do whatever you want. You have to think about what, who, when, and where. That's how you kind of qualify your freedom of speech, okay? And I just got a text from our guests saying they're going to be here at 6:30. So
that's not good.
Yeah. we'll address that. But anyways, the freedom of speech thing, it's very important that we know those 4 questions because that can help us define it. So obviously, just to give you a quick example, you cannot scream fire unless, like if you're in a theater, you can't scream fire unless there is one. You honestly think there is one, which is a little bit, or if you're an actor performing, you can say fire. So if you're doing it to create panic and fear, then you're no longer covered by the First Amendment. So that's just a quick example on just a way that I want people to think about, okay, this is what the actual First Amendment covers. And I want to challenge you to think about, other things like that in life. Don't just kind of bullhead your way through life or, be so closed off to your own opinions that we don't open up to the real law and to truth. So I kind of want to bring that up because this morning it was great hearing her speak, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So I want to hear also your opinions, because I'm gonna share this on all social medias because I just want to get the most interaction as possible, and I don't get much interaction on YouTube. So we're gonna be putting this out on other social media platforms just because I want to hear what people are saying, and I feel like open dialogue is, and I've said that before, I feel like open dialogue is a great way to get things accomplished and also to learn something. Because again, I'm not trying to lecture. this is all a learning process for me too. I was wrong. I was one of that 99.9% that couldn't name all 5. So I literally came into Josh and said, hey, do you know what your freedom of speech amendment covers? And he goes, you mean the First Amendment? So I was totally wrong. So I'm not trying to, show that I know more than people, because I do not. And just to prove that, I had to humiliate myself. But quick, I want to read this real quick, and hopefully I don't humiliate myself even more. But the First Amendment to the United States Constitution prevents the government from making laws that regulate an establishment of religion, or that prohibit the free exercise of religion, or abridge the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the freedom of assembly, or the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. That was obviously I couldn't memorize that. So, but that is what it says. And the one thing I challenge people to bring up and kind of have open discussion about is Justice Kennedy brought up the fact that, do we think that the Constitution is a living, breathing document, or is it something that was, obviously established long ago, hundreds of years ago, and that it should just be true for today's language? Or, do you really think that they knew what Twitter was going to be like? I think it's an interesting fact that it was written hundreds of years ago, and also that although we had 12 amendments initially, there was hundreds that were brought. So thank you to the founding fathers that narrowed it down to 12. But and I was going to talk about the importance of the First Amendment, and I know it's first, but initially it wasn't. So it's not like it's more important than the other amendments, but I don't want to harp on that too much. I just wanted to create dialogue and have people talking about the First Amendment and what it really stands for. And even if you really want to, you don't have to be a nerd, but like me, if you want to go back and look at different cases where, the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court has ruled on certain cases and why they've done so, you can learn more about it that way as well. So it goes real deep with the Constitution and all that. And I kind of, haven't listened to her speak. I feel like I might want to dig deep into that and kind of learn more about it, because history class was not my favorite and government class was not my favorite. I was more on the math science area of life. Mm-hmm. I like things that are just like 2 + 2 is 4. That's not changing. There's no opinion. You don't need a judge to decide what 2 + 2 is.
Right.
So, it's interesting. Hopefully you guys think that's pretty interesting and that you guys are going to interact with this question. I just want to challenge you guys to think about it. Think about the First Amendment. Think about, sometimes that you thought, oh, this is my freedom of speech. I'm going to bring up another example that she brought up because I think this is hilarious. But Madonna, I guess, at one point in history, I think President Bush was in office, and she made a song and a music video about the war in Iraq. And she said that Americans, like me and you, Josh, were suppressing her freedom of speech because we weren't buying her record. So I don't know if she was trying to pull some reverse psychology magic stuff, but that's obviously we have the right to choose what we want to buy.
Yeah, that just sounds like the market.
Yeah. So that's obviously not a example of, being your freedom of speech being suppressed. But I thought I'd show, the fire example and the Madonna example, because that's what Justice Kennedy used, and it helped me understand. So hopefully it helps you understand. If you have additional questions, I'm sure that you can find answers, because we have lots of resources. So did you have anything else you wanted to... Anything that popped up in your mind about that?
Just what you said there about the Madonna thing. That's kind of the difference between, this is just generalized, obviously, but freedom of speech, you're free to speak it or to write it or whatever you want to do, but it doesn't mean everyone else has the right, or it doesn't mean you have the right to be heard.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have the right that everyone has to listen to you.
True.
They have like you said, they have the option to. I have the option to listen. People should be allowed to say what they want to say. It's up to me whether or not I'm going to listen to them.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And because she brought up public figures, and I would say, how did she say this? I guess the press, technically, like a New York Times or something, they don't have more rights than you when they write. They're no more important. You know, their freedoms are no more important than ours as individuals. And I guess us as people, we have, I guess more rights as individuals than big companies and stuff like that, because they're not treated as individuals, obviously. So,
Yep.
But don't go to your job and do some crazy thing and expect to be covered by freedom of speech, because that's a different arena you're in. So, and you can't go to Josh's front yard and hold your signs and do stuff, but you can stand on the sidewalk. So go bug Josh. But no, I think it's pretty neat, and I think we all should be educated on what our amendments are and what our rights are, and especially if you want to exercise your right to petition, you might want to know what you're allowed to do, right?
Learning your rights is, I just echo what you said. It's very important.
Yeah,
It's empowering.
Yeah,
because a lot of times, at least from my personal experience, when I start to learn my rights about a certain situation, I realize I have a lot of rights I didn't know I had. It's not the other way around. It's not I find out I had more restrictions. I'm like, oh, actually, I have more rights than I realized, and I don't use them.
I agree, and I do the same thing. Because I obviously didn't know what the First Amendment covered. So, like I said, check it out. Look at some cases if you get bored. They were go back to the stats real quick before I switch over to baseball. Is more people could name the cast of Simpsons than they could, or the judges on American Idol than they could name the First Amendment. So let's educate ourselves, people.
Please.
Yeah, figure it out, including myself. And I just think it's something I wanted to talk about today. So hopefully you guys are interested in that and want to kind of have an open dialogue. But if you do, go down in the comments or message me directly on any social media and we could talk about it, because I want to hear from you guys. But I guess it's, we're closing in on April, so some things are happening. Like I said, I'm an ex-professional baseball player, so baseball's about to happen, even though it didn't look like it was going to. So I thought I would talk about that a little bit. How much I miss baseball. No, I'm just I do miss it, but obviously I love what I'm doing right now. But especially when I'm, was giving pitching instructions and talking baseball, I just get, because my arm still works, Josh. I don't know if you knew. The arm still is good. It's just the rest of the body is not. So
you're still hitting that 99.
You need full body to hit 99.
Oh, man, we're not changing the name of the podcast.
85 mile an hour podcast. We might have to. No, I do have a little pocket radar. So, I haven't been warming up, and I've been getting up to 85 without warming up. So who knows?
All right, so you got a 14 handicap. Cool. We're at 99.
I like that handicap.
Right.
I like it. I need to get in the golf, this summer and actually have a handicap in golf. I've never had an actual score.
Yeah, me either.
I'm that bad. So before we get off topic, because I'm great at doing that, I just wanted to, I guess, kind of look at, I'm not going to do a deep dive into the roster of the Guardians. Yes, I said the Guardians. And I'll stop doing that one of these days. But I just wanted to, I guess, flirt with the idea of almost not having baseball and actually wanted to know who cared. Because obviously I do, but baseball is just, I feel like every other sport is just like, football had a little bit for a little bit, but they're going back up. I really don't want baseball to just fall by the wayside. But with that being said, let's get excited for this season, guys, and root on the Guardians. And, the team looks great this year. I might have some of the players back on. You know, we had Tristan McKenzie on in the past. Still trying to get Shane Bieber, but you know, he don't want to come on the show, I guess. We'll try to get him on here again. But like I said, I'm gonna try to get some different type of guests. But I want to have some more baseball centered discussions on the show. Whether it be a solo episode like this, or if we have a baseball guest. But before, like, I kind of want to just talk about, because one of my people that I looked up to just recently retired, Andrew Miller. Everyone knew how great he was, especially if you're from New York or Cleveland or St. Louis. I don't know how many games he played in St. Louis. Or just was a fan of Andrew Miller from college or just because you love the way he pitched. I just wanted to give you my kind of outlook on Andrew Miller, because he was, you know, when you go to and you meet someone like that, you kind of like, you expect like, okay, he's this amazing pitcher. And I will say, as a minor leaguer, when you meet a big leaguer of Andrew Miller status, you anticipate them being rude, mean, dismissive. And I've met some players like that. None of them were on the Cleveland Indians roster, by the way. But Andrew Miller was on the other end of the spectrum. I'm not saying he's an extrovert, but he, you know, he communicated with me. He was my throwing partner until I started throwing crazy. And then he said, all right, somebody else got to come catch this guy. And it was refreshing. Like when I met Jim Thome, I thought he, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, so I thought he would be dismissive. And he's like, you know, I've seen Dover on 77. And it's nice and refreshing to meet people like that are just human and don't act like they're more than that. But I did want to say congratulations to Andrew Miller on retirement. And also, Brian Shaw is back.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Now, I know my brother-in-law, a lot of friends I know, they don't really like Brian Shaw, but I'm here to tell you he's a great human. He's a great pitcher. He makes typically 70 appearances on the season, and people want to remember 4 where he lost the game. But remember, there's 66 other outings that he pitched well in. So shout out to you, Brian Shaw. And he was also a great friend and became my throwing partner after Andrew Miller dumped me. So thank you for letting your shins get wore out. But I just wanted to kind of talk about the Indians as they transition into the Guardians and just give my outlook, because that's one of the questions I get all the time. Oh, what do you think of this person? How is this? How is this? And I also wanted to, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I wanted to co-sign for Trevor Bauer. So I know he's went through a lot of stuff lately. But from my experiences, the only thing that may come off wrong about Trevor Bauer is he doesn't hold back his opinion, which I like that. I didn't mind me coming off the field in my debut and him saying, "Hey, I thought you threw 99, dude. What is this 93, 96 stuff on the board?" I appreciate that honesty, and I think honesty kind of has went down the drain lately. So I wish the best for Trevor Bauer and in the rest of his career. And he was my locker mate, and he was a nice guy, Mm-hmm. And he's obviously not like a LeBron James or a freak athlete. So he's obviously worked hard his whole life to be where he's at and become one of the best pitchers, a Cy Young winner. With that being said, I mean, what do you think about the Guardians this year? I'm not saying, hey, Josh, have you researched the whole roster? But are you excited to watch them, or are you just kind of like, I'm just going to stick to the Browns and make sure, Deshaun Watson is worth all this $230 million? Oh,
I don't need to make sure of that. I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
No, I mean the Guardians. It'll be baseball's always fun when it's on. It's the thing with baseball is it was always my favorite sport to play.
Yeah,
I love baseball. Well, okay, basketball was pretty fun too.
Yeah.
But as far as like high school and things like that, I loved baseball. It's just not as exciting to watch on TV. Now, when I go to a game, I'm in it from the first pitch to the last out.
Yeah,
it's a blast. I don't know. It's just something about on TV. It's our culture. I think our society where everything's so fast paced.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things have made it even faster. But
Yeah.
we're not going to get into that on this show. But
But no, I am looking forward to the season. I think it's always nice when baseball rolls around. It's a fresh start to the season, new weather out there. It's get rid of that winter crap. Yeah.
we can't seem to shake it here in Ohio.
No, I wants to keep hanging on. I'm getting kind of sick of
Yeah, we'll have 75 and then it'll snow. I'm like, what is happening? But I this show was going to be short by nature, and I was going to try something different and just be like, 5-minute video. But is that really possible with me, Josh? Is that
No, I will say no, not possible.
But I'm glad I got to cover those 2 points. I wanted to, obviously, I love the Indians, Guardians, whatever you want to call them, and I want to hear you guys, if you guys care about, the Indians or Guardians, and you're looking forward to the season, let me know down below. Tell me if there's a player you want me to have on the show, because I'll try my best to get them. And because remember, this show is all about me interviewing people and I want to learn more about, or I feel like has something great to share. And our next guest that we're going to have on the show is pretty interesting. He's the CEO of this company called Pantheon Innovative Builders, where they build low-income houses with a 3D printer that it prints out concrete houses, and they're customizable, and it's based out of Youngstown, but they're going to be doing they're focusing on Youngstown, but they're going to be doing projects around. So I'm excited to have Ryan Kelly on the show, and also his business partner Bryant Youngblood. So looking forward to that show coming up, and I appreciate all the love we got on the Von Kennel show. That was pretty good, talking about basketball, and I love basketball. Just wasn't blessed in that like I was other sports. But I hope you guys got some value out of today's show. Again, if you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up. That'll help our video get out to more people. And if you want positive, dialogue about, us learning our rights, share it with someone. I would appreciate that. And also, I would love to bless a Dover student with a scholarship. So as soon as I update some of the designs on the merch and get some new things on the site, I'll push it out to the social media, and I'll let you guys know to go purchase some things to help a Dover student. And also, I still have my Discord open with pitching information that I share. And I'm going to usually monthly, maybe every 2 months, I'll have like a live Q&A session where if I don't have that many questions, I'll go over, at bats that I had with big leaguers, and I'll actually show my at bat on the screen, and I'll talk through what I was thinking and what the results were. And I won't just show all my strikeouts. I'll show things where I failed too. But I think it'll be a good learning tool for young upcoming pitchers. So I'll be posting the link. I was going to have it really, small, but the people in there right now, I got to engage more. So if you're interested in that, whether you're a beginner or a high schooler, we got stuff in there for everyone. And I also have a throwing program and exercise program to keep the arms healthy. So, appreciate you guys listening to the show. I mean, that was pretty fast, right?
It was.
I'm excited, man. I'm just excited. I love making this content. I'm gonna keep doing it, man. You know what I'm saying? And, the First Amendment was close to my heart after listening to it this morning. And, yeah, man. No, before I get super loopy, we need to end the show, but I want to say thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe. And also, like I said, I'll be posting, I post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All those are in the description. And if you want to start a podcast of your own, we have some Amazon affiliate links down below to the equipment we use. We need to update that as well because we have a lot more cameras now. And if you click and purchase something using that link, that will go back to help us a little bit. Very tiny, but might as well help us out if you're going to be shopping on Amazon anyway. And doesn't everybody shop on Amazon? So, Josh, thank you for your input and helping me with the First Amendment. So, because without you, this probably would have been really bad show. Starting out with First Amendment, not knowing much about it. I definitely would have Googled it though. You know.
Oh yeah, of
Definitely
course.
But yeah, people, just open dialogue, learn stuff. Don't be a moron. Don't be mean. Like, just be a human and know that other people are humans. And don't slap anyone in the face. I guess we'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
It feels like Casablanca. Shouting, you my little mama. I got a crib out of water. Say me Casa Su Casa. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting,